Hello everyone. So the next topic that we're going to talk about is vendor master. Vendor is another term for a supplier from which the company code purchases material or services required for carrying out various business activities. Vendors are at the very basic level divided into two types, regular and one-time. A regular vendor is a supplier from which the company code purchases more than once within a specific period of time. Another feature is the regular windows usually have a unique ID with which they are going to be identified throughout the company code or the SAP application. A one-time vendor, as the name suggests, is a vendor from which the company code purchases only once within a specific period of time. And another feature is that the one-time vendors are usually identified with the same ID or number. Now, the period of time changes from company code to company code. For some company codes, it might be a month. From some others, it might be 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. Whatever be the period of time, if the vendor is used only once, it's a one-time vendor. And if it is used more than once, even the second time, it's called as a regular vendor. Now, in the SAP system, without a vendor, no purchase related activities can be carried out. And vendors are usually created for purchasing organization and company code. Now, the information maintained for a vendor in the SAP system can be divided into three types: general data, company code data, and purchasing data. Now, the general data includes all the basic information about the vendor like name, address, communication details, contact person, industry specialization, bank account information, tax IDs, and other general information, basic information about the vendor. The company code data includes all the common finance or accounts related information like payment terms, payment methods, withholding tax information, reconciliation account, cash management group, prepayment details, payment correspondence, and other such accounts related information. This information is maintained at the company code level, that is, for each company code, the data will be maintained separately. Purchasing data includes all the common purchase-related information for that vendor supplying any material or providing any service under a specific purchasing organization. So this information includes data like order currency, minimum order value, payment terms, Incoterms, payment-related control data. So like this, all the purchase-related data will be maintained in the purchasing data. Now, based on the type of data maintained, the combination of data maintained, vendors can again be divided into three types. If general data and company code data are maintained, then the vendor is called as an accounting vendor. If general data and purchasing data are maintained, then the vendor is called as a purchasing vendor. And if all the three types of data, general data, company code data, and purchasing data are maintained, then they are called as a central vendor. An accounting vendor is used for cash purchases or local purchase, specifically in situations where the stock is may not be sufficient for immediate requirements. A purchasing vendor is used for plan-to-plan purchases, wherein the plants may exist in different countries right next to one another, or where the material is on a restricted list of the country. Then the transfer between plants cannot be handled with just a simple internal document. So a purchase order type of document has to be created. So in the SAP system, a purchasing vendor is used for such purchase order type of documents to transfer the material between plants of the same company code. A central vendor, on the other hand, is your regular vendor. That is, whenever we talk about a vendor, we usually talk about the central vendor, right? So this is the type of vendors based on the type of data maintained. Now, these three vendors are again divided into regular vendor and one-time vendor. So we actually have six types of vendors: regular accounting vendor, one-time accounting vendor, regular purchasing vendor, one-time purchasing vendor, regular central vendor, and one-time central vendor. But in most of the cases, you would only be using a central vendor in most of the company codes. Now, in order to create a vendor master record, we require certain initial information just like the material master. So for the vendor master, we require vendor number, company code, purchasing organization, and vendor account group. Vendor number, like the material number, is the ID with which the vendor is identified in the SAP system. It's a 1 to 10 character alphanumeric code which can be again assigned either internally or externally. Company code is the level of the enterprise structure where the books of accounts are maintained. Purchasing organization is the entity which is responsible for all purchase related activities in the SAP system. Vendor account group is used to group all the vendors together for easy management. In the SAP system, in order to create a vendor master record, at least one vendor account group has to be maintained. Now, these account groups can be maintained on different criteria based on the client requirement. Some use the type of the material type supplied by the vendor, or the vendor location, or the credit period, or the payment terms. Any one of these can be used as a criteria for maintaining the vendors under the vendor account group. So for our practice also, in order to create a vendor master record, we need to create a vendor account group. So first, let's see how to create the vendor account group. Now, it's a configuration related item. So let's connect to the server and create a vendor account group. So once we log in, we now again go to SPRO, IMG, Logistics General, Business Partner, Vendors, Control, define account groups and field selection. Click on execute. Click on new entries and enter a 1 to 4 character alphanumeric code for identifying the vendor account group. It need not be a 4-character code. You can just enter any characters from 1 to 4. So our main concern here is to create the account group and then create the vendor master. So we just create one account group with the detail, and then based on this account group, we are also going to maintain the number ranges. So for practice, I'm just going to create 2 account groups right now, and then I'm going to maintain the number ranges for it. Because the vendor number ranges, the vendor number will be assigned based on the account group. So to assign the number range, go back to IMG, define number ranges for vendor master records, click on execute, click on intervals, and check the available interval here. So let's say I have this interval available here, or this interval. Don't use any range from 1 to 1 lakh because these are normally defined as external. So once you modify this, click on insert interval, enter a 2-character code, and enter a range of numbers again up to 1000. V1 already exists, so we'll use V3. Yeah, even V3 exists. V5 also exists. Okay. Let's go back and see what is already available. Okay. We'll use V2 and V4. Click on insert interval, enter a code, enter the range of 1000 numbers. Now you can, for practice, just create a range of 1000 numbers. Even if you want to use the same number range for both the account groups, that's also fine. It's up to you. So this, I have created 2 number ranges. Now go back, click on number range, go to your account group, the one that we just created, and insert or enter the relevant number range interval. So once we assign that number range interval here, the number range created under that interval will be assigned to that account group. Now let's create the vendor master record.